Bonjour everyone, Pantoufleee here today for a new video in which we're going to take a look at the Kyla, the tank I tried to get in crates, 40 crates I opened, and I did not get a single one of them. But luckily for me, currently it's in the shop for 15,000 gold. Yes, it's quite a lot because I got myself the offer with everything in it, but you can also get it with a smaller offer, 12.5k gold only for the tank. It's a tier 8 German super heavy tank, but is it really worth it? First of all, the price. For 15,000 gold, you get everything you see here. Is it really worth it for a tier 8 tank? In my opinion, no. Nothing justifies a price that high. Usually, when you have 15,000 gold offers, it's for the Chieftain MK6, which is obviously a much better bet and tank to get than a tier 8 premium. But if money is not a problem to you, then let's dive into the statistics. A lot of you will find some similarities between the Kyla and the E75 TS. That was a previous version of the Kyla that was released a couple of years ago. But the main difference between both tanks is that the Kyla is equipped with a 350 alpha damage gun. And this one really makes a difference, at least in my opinion. I never thought at first when I got that tank that it was going to be really different from the E75 TS. I was just expecting a regular copy paste like Wargaming is doing with the Russian heavy tank. But here, no, I was surprised. We really have something that has its own personality and that will act differently on the battlefield than its older brother, the E75 TS. Because all the statistics about the gun are just great. Good gun dispersion, good DPM, good reload time, good average penetration, good average damage, and great gun depression featuring 8 degrees. So it's a little bit less than the E75 TS because the E75 TS is equipped with a 10-degree gun depression gun, but don't worry, it's going to do the job. On top of that, the Kyla is much more mobile than the E75 TS. It feels more like a heavy than a super heavy, whereas the E75 TS really feels like a super heavy. 40 kilometers per hour with an average of 25. If you equip your tank properly, you can climb up to 35 kilometers per hour in average. And trust me, 35 kilometers on average with such a tank is massive, as I'm going to demonstrate. But before we dive into it, let's take a quick look at the statistics. So, E75 TS, this is pretty much the armor profile you have on the tank. The lower part of the hull being the weak spot, and you also this tank is also equipped with side skirts that will prevent you from being shot by HE, even if in reality nobody is going to shoot HE at you because you are a super heavy German tank. But when we take a look at the Kyla, we have something a little bit different because all the armor you have on the side is replaced by this big gun mantlet. And in my opinion, it's a better bet because here you are literally impossible to penetrate, whereas with an E75 TS you just switch to gold shell and you can penetrate all the turret. Yes, you still have some weak spots here and there, but if the tank is not really close to you, it's going to be impossible for him to shoot that, because if you move just a little bit like this without turning too much, because well, after we see this part, because the turret is round and this is the thing you need to be taking care of. With the Kyla, you want to stay in front of your opponents all the time. The only thing you angle is your hull in order for you to hide those parts, maybe to a wall like here, and after you stay straight in front of your opponents like that in order for all the shots to bounce off on your gun mantlet. Now that being said, let's dive in. We have the pleasure of playing the tank in a tier 8 match, which means that we are the big boss of the game. And the first thing that shocked me at first when I played it, because this is my first game with it, is how crazy the mobility and specifically the traverse speed of the tank on both the hull and the turret is. Just take a look at how quick I turn my turret. It feels like they mounted a medium turret on top of a super heavy hull. It's really weird, but it gives it at least an original playstyle, which has a special place in my heart. And it's always nice to see Wargaming trying new things rather than just releasing another broken premium Russian tank like the Object 252U or another broken British tank like the Action 10 Resolute. And you see that even if we are a super heavy tank, here we pushed forward, we took more time than the others to get to our position, but it did not stop us from retreating. And this is what I like about the Kyla. It's mobile enough for you to be able to retreat in small scenarios, specific scenarios like this one, because obviously if I was in an open field right now, I would be dead. But it's just cool. It's just cool to be able to do such things with such a massive tank. Now, how do you want to play it? You want to show only the turret to your opponents. If you manage to do that, you should not struggle. But at the same time, your tank is so high that it's difficult, specifically from the position I'm taking right now, to only show my turret. So you need to adapt. If you can't show only the turret, you will have to move forward and to maybe face hug opponents if they are really close to you. And this is what I'm gonna try on the action tent, but unfortunately the guy is going so fast because he's running down a hill. So instead, I'm just gonna try to hide myself here, wait for my reload, and hopefully kill the action and the T-49 Hornet. I'm gonna go for the T-49 Hornet because it's a much better deal in terms of damage. But yeah, face hug if you can't hide the lower part of the hull. Hold down if you are from the distance, and if you are in town, try to do some side scrape. So in definitive, in terms of gameplay, you get something that is still, in my opinion, versatile. You can play only showing the turret, you can play showing the hull and the turret, and if you are brawling against an opponent, you still have your chance. But be careful, because there is something I forgot to mention about the tank. You do have a cupola right there that is penetrable quite easily by your opponents. But when we take a look at it, it seems like it's not the best bet in terms of precision, because it's quite hard to get access to that cupola. Now, we kill the Dracula because we took a little bit of a shortcut. 3 kills, 3.2k damage, victory. And obviously, as we're playing with a premium tank, we are gonna get a massive amount of credits. Because when you take a look at it, you get 105,000 credits, which is, in my opinion, enough. Definitely enough. But even if the tank is great, it has a big problem that resides in your teammates. And you're gonna see why I'm telling you this. At the beginning of that game, I told my team to go up. And I realized in the first 15 seconds of the game that the allies, but we can count them as enemies due to how they play. But I realized that those guys want to go in the town. So I'm trying to move. I'm currently moving and trying to go back in town. In 10 seconds, enemies had time to cross the whole map and I'm stuck. And this is the kind of thing that really pisses me off with the Kyla. You don't have a good enough mobility for you to be able to circle around or to go to the other side of the map if needed in time. No, instead you are just gonna get bullied by pretty much everyone and everything until you get enough hit points to get to the other side of the map. And unfortunately for me, this is what happened, and I'm starting the game with only 400 freaking hit points. Now, of course, not a single tank in this game is perfect, maybe except for the Chieftain MK6, lovely tank. But the Kyla is great for people that want to try an alternative playstyle to the heavy playstyle. Because when you take a look at it, you have a rounded turret, which is not necessarily the greatest advantage when you are a heavy tank. But at the same time, as you have a crazy big-ass gun mantlet, you will still bounce. On top of that, you have side skirts, which will help you from time to time bouncing off shells, specifically HE and heat shells. So pretty much every single gold shell from Tank Destroyer at that tier, and HE or something that is common among every single tank in this game. Now, there is some flaws that you can soon learn to defeat in order for you to get a peak heavy playstyle. Make sure to go with the rest of your team at the beginning of the game. Never go alone, obviously, but most specifically and most importantly, try to use the alpha damage correctly. Unlike an E75 TS that only has 310 alpha damage in average, with this one you have 350, and sometimes that alpha is going going to be bigger than 350. Look at the Ferdinand, for example. I did 382. And the fact is, if you learn how to scare your opponents with your alpha damage, you're gonna have a great advantage. Many people tend not to know that the Kyla has 350 alpha damage, which means that they're going to try to push you the same as if you were an E75 TS, because both tanks, aesthetically talking, are similar, which gives you a crazy advantage, because in definitive, you still have 2.1k DPM, and having a great alpha damage can help you first scare your opponents, but also finishing off targets, and this is exactly what we're going to head for. There we go on the VK. We're going to take a couple of shots, but we don't care, because in definitive, we have the possibility of being the main guy of the team, the guy that has armor, that has enough mobility to go first, and therefore the guy that can push initiative through the mind of the other teammates. Just take a look at that RHM, just struggling penetrating me because of my side skirt, because I can guarantee you that if I did not have those side skirts, the RHM would have penetrated me twice in a row, but luckily for me, it was not the case. So who is this tank designed for? Because that's the main question we need to answer. I'm gonna tell two types of people. People that are experienced but bored about the regular heavy playstyle and that they want to try something a little bit different, an alternative, but also, why not, new players? Because obviously this tank, if you manage to hide this part using rocks or the terrain, is definitely a great newbie friendly tank. So hopefully you will test it and you will tell me in the comments if this tank was or not made for you. Hopefully you enjoyed. If that's the case, feel free to subscribe, like, and share. And personally, I'm gonna see you soon for a new video. Bye.